Welcome back to the show. Well, abuse is a very difficult subject, but a subject that unfortunately does affect many people here in our Peel region. Joining us now is Elizabeth Correa, who's the author of a book called If You Played in My Playground, in which she channels her stories of abuse. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Now we'll get to the book itself in just a little bit, but if you could take us through your story a little bit. You were a victim of abuse.
Yes.
How early did this start?
Well, as far back as I can remember, so
Really?
I'm thinking about 5, 6.
Wow.
So it's really all that, I mean, in a strange way, all that you know.
Yes.
Even, I mean, you were,
Yeah.
I don't want to say raised on abuse, but I mean, that's,
Well, I was.
that's how you were.
That's the reality, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so did this happen with, when we hear about abuse, it usually comes from somebody that's close to you, in your family, a family friend. Can you
Yeah.
explain more about your story?
Well, I grew up in a very abusive home. My father was a severe alcoholic, and that led him to make, other choices. And obviously, he wasn't. It's a mental thing, right? It's a sickness. And so it was my father, very physically abusive, sexually, emotionally, mentally. There was a lot of abuse in the household, and it was all we knew. It was every day.
So if you're a 5-year-old and this is what this is what your life is day to day, is it normal then to have that? I mean, it's not normal obviously, but I mean, as a 5-year-old in a 5-year-old's mentality,
Was
is this just how
normal.
life is? This is
Yeah.
how every other kid is too?
Right. It is a normal thing. It's not something that I thought was only happening to me. I wondered, there were many days where I wondered if my friends were experiencing the same thing, but obviously I lived in a lot of silence. There wasn't any freedom at all to be open about it. The schools and our social workers and the Children's Aid, they suspected a lot, and they got involved in our lives at a very young age. But of course, just like all victims with their abusers, they hide it and protect their abuser. So that's what I did.
So did you ever feel like a victim?
Yeah, when I was younger, I believe I did. Because I just seemed to be the one that was picked on, a little more than my sister. She was a little younger, so I was developing faster and stuff. So I did. I thought, why me, kind of thing. Yeah.
So you did feel victimized, but you still wanted to protect your abuser.
Yes.
I find that really
There was a lot of
interesting.
fear, a lot of fear involved too. And then at the end of the day, in my eyes, he was still, a king kind of thing. He had a huge role in the community, Portuguese community. He was a professional musician, so very well known. And so I still saw him as this, this person, like a celebrity kind of thing. And and I just wanted to protect him.
When was it in your childhood that you finally, maybe a light switched on, and you thought, this is not what other kids are experiencing, this is not normal?
I was 13 years old, and I had started experiencing things on the streets and started hanging out with the wrong crowds and realizing what abuse was and what sex was, and realized that it was absolutely wrong, and that I didn't want to allow anything to happen again, and just kind of put my foot down.
I mean, it just fascinates me that you're just the heroism that comes out of you, because I mean, just personally, just envisioning what you had gone through for so many years, from 5 to the age of 13, and you came to the realization. What kept you going? What gave you that strength?
Well, I've always been spiritual. My grandmother was very, very spiritual, and just always told me that, that God was watching over me and that I was protected. She knew everything that was happening and couldn't really do anything either. So I think I've always had, and even today, I use the same method kind of thing, just faith and I refused to believe that that was going to mold me, that that was who I was. I was a victim. I refused to believe that that was going to be my life. And I knew that one day I would break free. I held on to that hope and that faith.
Now, obviously, you were a lot younger when you were being abused, and so you have different things going on in your mind. Why is it, though, that people tend to feel that they're helpless? I mean, even victims who are more mature, who understand exactly what's happening, yet they still have this feeling of total helplessness, that they can't do anything or shouldn't do anything. Why is that thought process there?
Well, I think having a sense of leadership, skills from, your younger age, it helps a lot. And I think it's important for us as parents to raise our children that way, strong leaders, to speak, to not be afraid. And despite what was happening at home, my teachers were like that. And, I found such great love, and I built an awesome family on the streets. That's where I found love. That's where I found myself. And I think with that strength that I got from, my friends on Bleecker Street and the circle that I, created there, I built that confidence. And I think it has a lot to do with confidence and leadership. And it starts at a young age. It's not something you just, you get when you get older. It should be something that we're taught from a younger age. And that kind of gave me my strength and my confidence to, eventually speak up one day.
Right.
And you really have, which is great. What is your take on forgiveness?
Oh, if you do not forgive, you are living in bondage. There is complete freedom that comes from forgiving, and it's what we're expected to do. It's what we have to do. If it's not about setting the person free and letting them off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook.
Wow, I love that. Well, I'd love to explore that a little bit more after this break. Hopefully you can stick around with us.
Yes.
A lot more to come with Elizabeth here. We're going to talk about her book as well, but she's really shared her courageous story with us, and I'm sure you have a few things to take away as well. Now we'll be right back after this on Daytime. Please don't go anywhere. A lot more to discuss. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to Daytime. Now, Elizabeth Correa is no stranger to adversity. She's tackled unimaginable events as a child and as an adolescent, but she's been able to transform those trying times into a very positive future through a book, which we'll get to momentarily, and she's joining us right now. Thank you so much for sticking around, Elizabeth. Before the break, we talked about forgiveness, and you had some powerful words that you shared with us. But what about acceptance? Did you come to terms with what had happened?
I did. I definitely did. I've never used what happened to prevent me from my success in life, or I don't mean financially. I just mean, internally. I've never talked about it as if I was a victim. I've never talked about it as if it came out in anger or pain. This is actually the first time I'm really coming out with it in the book. So I accepted what happened. I accept that people are just hurting. So hurting people hurt people.
Right.
And that helps me to accept a lot of things in my life.
Now, you were talking with us during the commercial there about forgiveness as a term, and people struggle with the fact that you have forgiven your abuser. How do you tell them, you know, I've forgiven, but I haven't forgotten, that there's a difference, there's a line? How do you sort of explain that?
To be honest, when you truly forgive authentically, you forget. You do.
You?
Yeah, it's like you don't forget the memory. Obviously, it's there. I can go back and, you know, just like the book and write down details of what happened. But not forgetting, to me, is still having that person up in your heart. You know, if you say, I forgive him, but I won't forget. That's kind of, even when you
spiteful, I
say it,
guess,
it comes out
sounding.
harsh.
Yeah.
It's very, you know, so for me, it's when I forgive, I forgive. It's authentic. It's real. I've let it go. And you know, it's when you've forgiven, you accept. So, you know, I have forgiven, and I'm grateful that I was chosen for that journey, because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't, you know, be doing what I do today. I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. I wouldn't be working with young women who have experienced the same thing, or, you know, it was all a part of my journey.
Wow.
Would you mind if I asked what your relationship with your abuser is like today?
Well, I recently had a brain surgery, and before that happened, it was very kind of hidden under the carpet. So I was very close with my father still, and communicated with him quite often. And then after my surgery, I decided that I wanted to have a clean heart. So it wasn't about him, you know, verbally denying, because I would, you know, he would deny it and I'd say, okay, just to kind of for his own internal peace. I decided I wanted to come out in the open about it with him, and we haven't spoken since, but that's okay.
That's okay. Let's talk about your book, If You Played in My Playground. You're having the book launch coming up Thursday, May 31st.
Yes. Yes.
How has the process of writing that book been, having to relive all of your memories, to put them on paper? I mean, I can tell from the way that you're just relaying the stories to us that you have moved on, you know, you have accepted and forgiven. So was it difficult to put that on paper?
No, it wasn't. It was very therapeutic. I laughed a lot, but I cried a lot. It wasn't difficult, but it was going back to some of the details, and some of the moments were kind of shocking in a way. Like, I thought, wow, you know, because I haven't had that person up or the people up.
Right.
So when I go back to writing things down, it was very like, I can't believe I survived that kind of thing. Like, wow. So it was very helpful in my own confidence as well, not just therapeutic in other ways in the healing process, but very motivating, very empowering, inspiring, uplifting. So it was a great experience. Yeah.
What was the catalyst for writing this book? It's taken you quite some time.
I've been writing steady. I was writing on mat leave, and my little one is 4 years old. So I started writing. I wrote about 17 chapters, and then I went through a really difficult separation and divorce, and I took a long break between that, about 2 years. So really and truly, if I had kept writing steady, it would have taken about a year. Yeah.
Now, you share these stories to empower people, to inspire people to, you know, make the changes in their lives, to ensure that they can move on past these events as well. Are you going to discuss this with your children?
Well, yeah, I have my older son he's turning 20, so I've never hid anything from him. He knows he's my best friend, and he is, I feel emotional just thinking about him. But there's nothing that I have hidden from him, the good, the bad, the trying. And then my 4-year-old, when he gets to an age of complete understanding, I will definitely be very authentic and very honest with him about my journey.
So what do you tell them specifically about violence?
Violence, physical, I'm very open with my sons about violence and abuse. And I tell them even the little things that they don't see as abuse are abusive. The words we use, you know, our judgment with people, that's all abuse. And it's whether it's emotionally, mentally, it's all abuse. So I'm very detailed when I speak to, especially the big ones. I'm a foster parent, so I also have a 20-year-old foster son that's home with us. So I'm very open with them about this stuff. Yeah.
I'd like to know, where does the title of the book come from?
If you played in my playground, growing up, I grew up in St. Jamestown in the Regent Park core area, and there was a park in front of our building, and I called it the playground. Everyone called it the playground. Everything happened in the playground. So whether it was a fight at 2 o'clock and everyone had to meet up, or a marble competition, break dancing, everything went down in the playground. Right. So it's kind of that message where if you played in my playground, you would see through my eyes. You would understand me and why I am the way I am.
Fantastic. I like that very, very much. Elizabeth, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
Truly inspiring and moving.
Thank you.
And best of luck with your book launch coming up Thursday, May 31st at the View Lounge. If you want to go to the event and hear Elizabeth in person, we have 3 tickets to give away. Give us a call. It's 905-361-5120, and they can be all yours. Just give us a call. Let us know that you want the tickets, and we'll give them to you. Stick around. We've got more on Daytime when we come back after this. Don't go away. Lots more to come.